welcome to this video about Weld, where I will walk you through what our app can do. First, I'll be showing you how to log into Weld. This is the first place where we are actually using Google, because we allow people to use their Google account to sign up. So we'll just go through the flow, basically just click the button, and because I'm already signed in, it will take me directly to the application. You can see I've been signed in with my Weld app, which is actually a Google account. So that's the first place where we use Google. We have hooked it up through Auth0, so we're using a third party to provide the authentication layer, which then connects to Google Ads for us. I will now show you where to connect Google Ads. This is one of our connections that we use Google for. This is actually the connection we are requesting an elevated access for, because we need to be able to access the data of our clients to be able to do analytics on top of them. We're basically a tool that does extract, load, transform. So we extract all the information for on behalf of our customers, and then we load it into their data warehouse. In most cases, we load it into Google BigQuery. You can see that my account is also set up to use Google BigQuery. We allow for one destination per account. That is just simplifying the setup, and most people only have one data warehouse anyways. So the first thing we want to do is jump in here where we set up connections, and you can see we have Google Ads. I'll select Google Ads, and we can then define whatever name it should be, but Google Ads makes sense here. And we'll press authorize. We then go to the login screen, and you can see that we are continuing as well. You can see the privacy policy here, and you can see the terms of service here as well. And I just want to use this application. Then we're taking here to your other integration, and if I press here, you can see that Jacob is one of our co-founders. He is the guy that will be connected. We are right now in the staging environment because I have a better setup there. And yeah, that is basically the login screen that we have. And I will allow this to go through. And then you can see that the Google Ads is now available as a connection inside of Weld. Okay, we then want to use the new connection we have set up. We want to use that to connect Google Ads to the data warehouse that we have configured. This is already configured for my account and is basically Google BigQuery. Google BigQuery is the customer's setup and preferred data warehouse for us. We also support Snowflake, but most of our customers are using Google BigQuery. We will use the Google Ads account that you see here that we set up before. I will go into the gather, is the ELT part of it. I will then select Google Ads. We then load the ad accounts that is connected to this account, and since I'm with Weld, of course it shows our accounts. I'll select Weld Broad, and then I can select all the API endpoints or objects from Google. We both support performance reports, but also the actual objects. And they have just been taken from the Google Ads documentation, so they are one-to-one with how they're described there. I will just go ahead and select all of them. Click select, next, and then I will synchronize this every 5 minutes. I want to have the data from 1st of October this year. This is because we synchronize the data on a segment date level. So we synchronize every day to do better analysis afterwards. And then at the end, we have a last step where the user can basically choose if some of the columns are not to be included. This is used for sensitive data. You can also choose to include them, but then use hashing on top of them. So the data is basically anonymized. But since this is our own data and I don't mind it being in our data warehouse, I'll just create the sync as is. And you can now see the sync has been set up here. We can try to go in and look at it, and yeah, you basically see we have set up the campaign performance, ads performance, etc. And I can then click start, and now the sync will start in just a minute. I will pause the video until it starts and show you how that looks. We can now see that one of the syncs has completed. The campaign performance sync has completed. We synchronized 388 items, and the ads performance has been running. That didn't find anything. And basically the account performance is also running. We can try to refresh and see if it found something. Yes, found 206 items. And that data is now present in our data warehouse, um, where I will just jump over real quick and then show you how that. We are now in our BigQuery setup here. This is Weld development. This is our staging environment for our BigQuery, and we will synchronize in Google Ads, so we can expand upon that one. This is test data, which is why you see so many different ones, but we have basically been synchronizing the account performance and the campaign performance. So let's try to look at one of those. And here you can see the data has been synchronized. There's not so much data on this one. Maybe this is one that hasn't been used too much. You can see there's some metrics here. Click-through rates, some other stuff. And yeah, that is basically how the data is loaded into Google BigQuery, and then it's supposed to be used. How we set up a Google Sheets ELT sync from Weld. We go into the new connections again. We, instead of selecting Google Ads, we select Google Sheets. As Google Sheets, that sounds fine. Go and select my accounts, and you can see that now we want to have access to both Google Sheets spreadsheets, but also Google Drive files, because some of the sheet files might be in Google Drive. It's the same with the privacy policy and everything. So that is the same as before, and then I will allow this to basically access it. You can now see Google Sheets as a connection up here. We want to go and create another gather flow as we did with our Google Ads. Go in here and select, now we have Google Sheets. The same way we show all the different sheets that I have available. I'll select linear issues. We then fetch named ranges. These named ranges are the ones that we synchronize from, so that we know exactly what data to select. And we select if this is indexed on rows or on columns, and I have indexed this on columns. And I use the first row as a column name. This tells our system to basically, oh, I keep doing that, so we need to select next. Then I want to sync this every 5 minutes. And again, you could basically select what you want to remove or what you want to add. And we create this one. And now you can see we have the Google Sheets gather up here. Again, we can go and select it and start it. And in the same fashion as we saw before, it will then synchronize the data into the BigQuery, and it will be very readily available for analysis. So I won't go through the same because it is one-to-one with what we just saw. And this is how we use Google authentication and Google APIs in our application.